だって君みたいなロボット今まで見たことないもん。きっとそうだよ。誰も見たことがないアビスの底から。
Depression. If you want to know what depression feels like, watch this anime. Well, kind of. Because Made in Abyss is far more than that. But depression is part of it. Now, if you want to know what Made in Abyss is about, let me go through the story here real quick so I can go on with the video. First, you hop into your browser, then you type in Made in Abyss on my anime list or something, and you find this little text thingy. That is the so-called synopsis. Read that. You're welcome. Okay, jokes aside, I will go into some spoilers of the show in this video, so if you haven't experienced the story up to the end of the second season of the anime, I wouldn't only recommend watching that before you watch this video, but I would almost insist on it, because Made in Abyss is truly something you have to experience on your own. It is such an amazing and breathtaking story, and I feel like even more people need to talk about it. Honestly, making this video was a real pain in the ass, because this anime is genuinely so good and has so many different layers to it, and I want to talk about all of them, but that's impossible without making this video over an hour long, and I don't have the capacity to do that, so I had to scrap the script of this video at least 3 times until I was slightly satisfied with it. And so just please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, I guess. So what makes Made in Abyss so great in my opinion is its duality or contrast. Darkness and horror in contrast with beauty. Made in Abyss quite clearly sets up to look like your typical happy-go-lucky adventure type anime. The animation, the stunningly beautiful world, and the childlike character designs make it seem very unthreatening to us. The main cast consists of only children, and all characters, even the adults, are designed with very round heads and rather small bodies. Including the admittedly awkward and super cringe comedy of the show, it sets it all up to be a very cute little adventure. But then, as we all know, the harsh reality hits us in the face. And it hits like a truck ready to isekai you on the next crosswalk. Because Made in Abyss deals with some of the darkest stuff that I've ever witnessed in a story. Sometimes even on par with or even exceeding the likes of Berserk, depending on how you see it, which is also partially true due to the fact that the characters who are suffering all of this are children. It is grotesque, it is brutal, gruesome, sad, and absolutely horrifying. And it shows it all in such an almost nonchalant way, which makes it even more unnerving. That is the contrast or duality on a surface level. The Abyss and its mysterious and wonderful ecosystem is at the core of it all. However, you can see the contrast and tone in it already, which makes it even better. The different layers of the Abyss are all stunning and interesting in their own right, from the lush cliffs of the first layer to the golden landscapes of the sixth. But they all house terrifying and unimaginable dangers within them, natural as well as man-made. That, on a surface level, is made clear to us from the very start of the show, since even the creatures that lurk in the first layer can kill you in an instant. But when you look at these creatures in detail, you can see the same duality, because despite their danger, they are often still depicted in a very beautiful and majestic way. First, you see a mysterious and majestic animal minding its own business, and then you learn that it mimics the cries for help of its still living victims while it feasts on their flesh to lure in even more prey. So there you have the beautiful and majestic wildlife in contrast with its dangerous reality. And the story and the antagonists are the same. Bone Root, for example, is one of the key figures that makes Made in Abyss as dark as it is, because his section is one of the most cruel and gruesome sections of the story yet. But even there, Bone Root is a character that does horrible things, but isn't necessarily depicted as a horrible human being. We ourselves are making our opinion on him, not the story, and not even the characters. Take the final part of the arc, for example. When we learn what he did to Prushka, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, it is one of the most horrific and depressing reveals I've ever encountered in a story. But then, Prushka turns into the one thing the characters need to get further into the next layer. And all this sadness and all this horror is almost washed away by this bittersweet twist and the curiosity that comes along with it. And not Prushka nor the characters seem to hate Bone Root for what he did. They even stop fighting him, and he's basically like, "Alright, good luck on your journey guys, have fun." There's also this feeling that Bone Root planned this all from the start, but I'm not gonna go into it because this character honestly would make for a whole video on its own. But point is that it takes such a turn in an instant, which probably messes you up even more. And the ending of the second season is very similar. In a way, everyone we got to know and like over the course of the season died, except for Fabda. But still, there's a feeling of fulfillment left in the way that it's depicted, and in the way it ended by Fabda defending and mourning the very people she swore to destroy. And you probably mourn them as well, even though you learned what horrible things they've done and by what means they survived all this time. And now our characters can move on from the emotional roller coaster of season 2 and are one step closer to their goal. In both of the examples I gave and in pretty much the whole story, there's this underlying feeling that makes us push forward. The feeling of curiosity, which is mostly shown to us through the character of Riku, but is obviously also created due to the interesting world building. This feeling next to the beautiful depiction is another thing that sets up this contrast with the dark story. Because despite all of the horrific stuff that happens, all the sad and sometimes seemingly pointless agony the characters have to go through, there's always this luring curiosity that keeps Riku looking forward. And by extension, it keeps us looking forward as well, and creates this almost happy feeling every time we make it through one of these depressing journeys. When Prushka dies, she becomes a white whistle so our characters can move forward and get to know what lies beyond the 5th layer. And when we made it through season 2, we are one step closer to unveiling the truth about Rag's memories and can continue our adventure through the 6th layer. Obviously, even the main descent into the abyss is one driven by curiosity. We and the characters know this is a journey they can't return from because of the curse of the abyss. Still, we embark on it, and no matter what we encounter, curiosity keeps luring us deeper and deeper into the abyss. It's kind of fucked up, honestly. However, one aspect I haven't talked about yet, the one thing that elevates all of these contrasts, all of these feelings, the one thing that helps making Made in Abyss as beautiful as it is, and what elevates it, in my opinion, from an already genius anime to such an exceptionally great masterpiece, is the music. The masterfully crafted OST by Kevin Pankin helps tying all of these things together. From its happy, adventurous tracks that capture the childlike, playful curiosity so well, to honestly some of the saddest yet beautiful pieces of music I've ever had the pleasure, or torture, depending on how you see it, of listening to. The music captures this extreme mix of emotions so exceptionally well. It helps depicting the dangerous yet still majestic wildlife. It helps conveying the curiosity when seeing the stunningly wonderful new landscapes after witnessing true horrors just moments before, and it manages to make the sad and depressing scenes still magical in a sense. So you cannot help but feel so very sad yet still good in a way. And it does it on a level that exceeds the boundaries of the story as well, because it creates these feelings regardless of watching the anime along with it or not. It can stand perfectly well on its own, which is why it means a lot to me on a personal level as well, since I connect a lot of personal memories with it, especially with the soundtrack of season 2. Old Stories being a very clear example of that. Not long ago my cat suddenly died, and he really meant a lot to me. This track reminds me of him. It captures this melancholic feeling of happy memories dwelling up within you alongside this agonizing sadness so well. Memories of a time that was happy once, but of one that is over now. Now these memories are but old stories to tell, yet I'm still fond of them. It's duality, isn't it? And that is the essence of Made in Abyss. All of these points create this whirlpool of emotions within you. This duality that is apparent in the world, characters, animation and music, the horrors and dangers contrasted with the beautiful landscapes and wonderful music, and the curiosity that keeps us going through it. All these things make Made in Abyss such an incredible experience, but also one that is so exhausting that it ends up breaking you the way the anime does. It's such an exhausting up and down, but that is what I think makes it so memorable and so bittersweet. It can crush all the hopes of its characters in an instant, but also gives them hope in the next scene. And it does the same with us. In essence, Made in Abyss theme is nature and life itself. Because, as I said before, what makes all these terrifying, gruesome and cruel horrors stand out even more in the show is that they are shown to us with a sense of indifference and in an almost nonchalant way. But that is nature. Nature doesn't differentiate between kids or adults, predator or prey, good or bad, cute or ugly. It is cruel and unforgiving, and sometimes it's unfair. But the key thing is that nature is also beautiful. After all, there can be no darkness without light. That is the duality of nature. Made in Abyss is sad, painful, horrific, and fuck is it depressing. But above all, it shows us that no matter how dark the world can get, no matter how cruel the laws of nature can be, there will always be beauty in it. That even in the darkest abyss, if you keep looking forward, you can also find unimaginable beauty hiding somewhere in the dark.